Kia ora and welcome. My name is Ellen Rose and this is the Creative Cure to Boredom. I've created this channel to share and explore some interesting approaches to art using everyday materials you can find in your own home. The hope is that it makes the current lockdown and isolation situation just a little bit more bearable. Today we can have a look at turning granules into graphics. So I'm using salt as basically a textured base to my picture, and then I'm going to be adding some food colouring over the top to try to get an interesting painterly effect. I hope you enjoy the video and don't forget to leave comments or suggestions below. Cheers! So this is potentially the last video for a while for the Creative Cure for Boredom. So I thought it would be quite nice to end with a picture that I started with. So I've gone back to using the elephant and gone back to using a food product as well. So I'm using glue to put down some basic lines of my elephant, and then I'm going over the top with some salt. And the salt is to really get some granules happening on the surface of the paper so that when I come in with some food colouring, you get some nice texture tones happening with that colour. So I thought maybe by using the hard food colouring and then using some water with it, that I might get some gradation starting to happen. But when I use the water with it, it bleeds quite a lot into that salt. It doesn't have nice crisp lines. So it's taken me a little while to have a bit of a play with working out how to use this product. And so I've decided to do layers of it. So I'm adding some more glue here to add some more white in the sections and hope to clear up some of those blurred lines. And you can see I've added quite a lot of lined glue texture in the ears because there is a lot of line texture in the ears. So I'm adding some more salt and then going back through with the ink again, or with the food colouring again. I do like that there's a real gradation of tone from white to light blue to a medium blue to dark blue, which is giving a nice sense of depth to the image. But those whites I want to pop just a little bit more, so I'm adding more glue and some more salt to build that up. I've swapped brush as well, so I'm using a slightly thinner brush now to try to pick up some of that tinier detail. I'm hoping that it's not too wet, that it's not just going to keep bleeding. So I am using my paintbrush straight into my bottle of glue, and that's just because I'm at the end of the glue. If I wasn't at the end of the glue, I would have poured that out into another jar as well, just like I've done with the food colouring. Because you'll see that as I go, it is getting quite clumpy. There are bits of salt in the glue, and it is becoming harder to use. It's definitely worth having that tray underneath your artwork to collect the extra salt when you tap off the excess. Also having the hairdryer, and I probably could have optimized the hairdryer a little bit more and used it a bit more within this process to dry between the different layers that I was adding. So this is the final results. Overall, I am quite happy with the results. I think it is clearly an elephant. And if we go in a little bit closer, there's actually a real 3D texture that's happened with the salt. So you can see some sort of ribbing happening with the wrinkles on the nose. You can see that the tusk itself is sort of rounded out and the wrinkles around the eye are really starting to get some of that 3D form. I think my favourite part of the picture though is actually the ear. So I quite like that there's some of the white paper left in there. I like the erratic use of glue with the patterns and textures it created, and it surprisingly ended up quite similar to the original photograph that we were going from. So overall, this was a really fun process. It was quite messy. So I definitely recommend using a pan to place your picture in when you're doing the layers of salt. And originally I'd planned to just do one layer of glue and salt and then just the food colouring after that. But as you saw, I did use the salt to layer up some of those white areas, and that really changed the picture, and I think it changed it for the better. So I'd love to hear if you've played around with a similar process, if you used any different sort of methods to get the picture to work the way that you wanted to. As I said earlier in the video, this is possibly my last video for a while, so I would love to hear some comments, especially overall what sort of methods you enjoyed most about my different videos, and what ones possibly didn't work for you as well. Thank you so much for watching and supporting. I hope I've provided a little bit of an outlet during this crazy time in the world. Art can always be a really helpful coping mechanism for your mental health, as well as physical health, spiritual health, and social health. So please do keep on keeping on. And I look forward to making these videos again in the future. All the best. Ngā mihi nui. My name is Ellen Rose, and this has been The Creative Cure to Boredom.